nice introduction. So if you can see here, we are facing Germany at the local place of Europe. We have roughly 82.5 million inhabitants there and are the fourth largest economy in the world. And compared to the size of the country, it's really a huge thing for Germany to be on such a high level. So you can assume that the production of the Germans are really effective, and we are looking forward to grow this economy even further. So, and compared to other places like the US, you see that the GDP is roughly a little bit under yours, but in compared to the average of the EU, we are really in front of it. That is mainly based on our export business out of Germany and of the engineering stuff and all these things. So the GDP growth rate is actually, or was last year, by 2%. As usually, we're expecting more, but sometimes you cannot turn the world around, so that's also effects from outside. And compared to the US, we are pretty close together with a 1.6%. And the unemployment rate is nearby on the same level as on the United States side. So we call it full work with 3.6%. That's only a few people that are moving around and are unemployed on specific reasons, but we are facing really a problem in Germany there that we are running out of staff. So that's also the reason behind why we are so open-minded to get more people into the country, just because we are facing the problems there in regarding to unemployment or running out of staff for every. So that's really the case behind it. The inflation with 1.8% is also driven by the EU, because we are in a currency group with all European countries. So that's one point that Germany cannot take control over or something like this, because it's a mixture of all EU countries, especially if they have the euro as the currency. So the exports, you can see it's higher than our imports. So we are really an export-driven economy. We are looking to sell our products within the EU and also worldwide. So that's, I think, the backbone of Germany is the machinery production and the engineering behind it, not only in the car industry, also for other industry like oil industry, computers, etc., etc. So that's really a huge point in Germany, that we try to be as much effective in the production to get everything done on a really high skilled level and present it to the world as a good and reliable product that we can export. In regards to imports, there you see we have also really high number, but we are not on the even point with on the 50-50%, which should be the best case, but that is mainly based on the fact that we import really not the high value cargo to Germany. So it's mainly raw products or food stuff and all these things. So that's barely happens that you see that machinery or something like this will be imported into Germany, because mainly we produce it on our own and export it. So that's also the reason why there's every time this gap between export and imports in our yearly analysis. So the e-commerce, that's one thing I get in touch here in the States pretty often, and it's developed slower than here than compared to the United States. So the Germans were in the first step really careful to getting more and more into the e-commerce, but now they're getting used to it, and we see the same problems like here, that shops are closing and more people are buying online, which is really nowadays a huge impact on the German market, as you have it here with Amazon Prime and all the other retailers that are going online. That's the same in Germany. And as you can see, we try to take advantage in Germany to online shopping all around the world. As you can see, we import from the United Kingdom, which is nowadays not anymore in the EU. We also getting e-commerce out of the United States and from China, of course, Alibaba in China, the opposite of Amazon, I would say, make their really huge deals for the people in Germany, and they are interesting to buy also out of China with e-commerce. It's not like in the States where you get it by overnight. If you buy in China, it's more mainly that they ship full containers to Germany, and then the FedEx and UPS will pick it up at a warehouse and distribute it everywhere about Germany. If you, for example, buy in the United States e-commerce articles, usually it will be go over to Germany on express services like FedEx, UPS, and so on. So the marketing, and compared to the States, we are a little bit behind you, especially with the social media. Facebook is still the biggest shareholder in this case, but Stay Friends, Google Plus, Twitter, etc., they are also on the climbing level, but not as much as here in the States. So there's still some, I would say that there's still some conservative people there behind it, and that we are not so open-minded for social media like other countries or culture like it in the world. So that are the benefits from the Eurozone, and that was, I think, the really big turnaround after Eastern and Western Germany get together in the 90s and the beginning of the 90s. The really huge impact started with the Euro trade zone and the Euro currency in the beginning of the 2000s, because people were fearing that they lose their currency, the Deutschmarks, and they have really not a good feeling to move to the Euro. But it turned around after 1-2 years that everybody is taking advantage of this currency, especially if you doing vacation in Europe or buying in Europe from other countries. Before you had 17, 18, 20 different currencies. Now you only have one, which make it really easy to compare products, to buy materials, to sell materials. So you have a really open market there, and that was a huge advantage. And I think Germany and France, they are both countries are most on top of that, because they have so much business within the Eurozone that it's really a big advantage for these both countries that the Euro getting into the market in the early 2000s. So as you can see, our top export countries are the USA, France, because we have a really close relationship with both countries, Great Britain, the Netherlands, and China, where you have to say that the Netherlands, in compared to export, is, if you see it statistic-wise, if we export from Germany, a lot of the cargo will be shipped out of the Netherlands. And based on the fact that the cargo are moved to the Netherlands, it will go into this statistic as an export. Also, if they're going further to India or China, Netherlands will be at the last gate where they left the EU Union. Also, that's on the import side, China, the sheep products and all these things. The Netherlands, of course, there are a lot of cargo going into the EU via the Netherlands. And then we have France, where we have a big exchange in regards to foodstuff and also technology on the high sector. The US, you can see that's mainly cars which are going back to Germany, for example, or paper or elements and all these things. And Italy is also a really strong import partner for Germany in regards to foodstuff and clothing. So there are some EU trade agreements that were finished or negotiated in the last time with Singapore, for example. So we are aiming there the entry in 2019. It's interesting because Singapore is, if you see it from our point of view, a main hub for the Asian market, where a lot of feeder vessels and all these things will be distribute all the containers out of this area. So that was every time a big thing for the EU to get the first step to Singapore as a main hub to have their open door for the Asian market. If you see with Mexico, they reached the agreement, updating deal from 2000, and then now they have finally the tax agreement in the hand. So that's something that also the German industry is seeing, that a lot of work or finishing or production take place nowadays in Mexico, and that's really a big step for the EU to enter also the Mexican market in regards to supplies and all these things. Canada, we are really close or with Canada anyway, based also of the background, if you see it with the United Kingdom and all these things. So, and the trade agreement is in place with Canada, but it's not there. You have the feeling that it's really not started so far. So that's we see it in the freight industry. There are still shipments to Canada and from Canada to the EU, but I think both parties expected more from this agreement. And it's something that should be developed in the next years. But I think everybody get the feeling in the first step that it's a reliable trade agreement and that they now can use it. But it really is on a slow move into this direction. Where Japan is really close, especially with Germany. There are a lot of Japanese companies in Germany, and also the other way around, that they have connections and strong relationships. And that's something that will happen soon. And I think that will be an advantage for Germany also to have the really high standard industry, like with all the computer things and all these things, that they have a good entry to this market, and also for Japan, for the German market. Yeah, and the last thing is the South states of the America, with Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. Germany has a strong relationship with them because there are a lot of German moved in the 50s to these countries. So there are big communities who are still speaking German in these areas. And for example, Argentina is one of our biggest importer in regards to meat. So that's a lot of meat which going back to Germany and reefer containers and all these things. So there's a really connection. In Brazil, Volkswagen has a really huge plant that is also there, if I'm right, on the first place in regards to selling cars in Brazil. So that's really a strong connection in these areas based on the history.